A lot of people recommended this to me.
The Costa Concordia, ship of dreams. It's been 8
His voice.
years.
His voice is so
I
nice.
can still smell the buffets from their 5 restaurants.
Oh, don't show me
The casino
food. I'm gonna
and
be
3-story
hungry.
theater had hardly been used. The gym, the day spa, the sheets in her 1,500 luxurious cabins hadn't even been slept in. Costa Concordia cost $570 million.
It is, Max.
And you
570!
You could really tell.
What the heck? That's a lot of money.
I remember it like it was just a few years ago.
A few years
We had
ago.
left Civitavecchia, a port in Rome, and we were making our way to Savona. It was day 2 of our 7-day journey. But that ship, she was cursed.
Ooh, I do love me a good
A
curse.
traditional bottle of champagne bounced right off the side instead of smashing. A bad omen. But I'm not the superstitious type. Nothing could go wrong on Friday the 13th of January 2012, on the 100th year anniversary of the Titanic. On a
Are
ship
you
that's
kidding
also
me?
only safety rated for 2-compartment flooding. Especially not when you have a 5-star max level captain like Francisco Scatino. A man who mysteriously rose from head of security to the position of captain within just a couple of years.
I love the setting of the video, man. Oh, this is great.
He knows exactly what
Cat,
to do in case of
please.
an emergency.
For example, when he caused this emergency in 2008, when he crashed into a port in Sicily. And in 2010, in Warnemünde, Germany,
God.
when he was steering a different ship and came into port too fast and caused another collision.
Jesus
I've got a good
Christ.
feeling about this. So let's set the scene.
I have a good feeling
It's a
indeed.
beautiful evening. People are having fun on the slides, drinks at the bar. Antonio Magnotta is playing piano at the restaurant. Martin the Magician is setting up for his show.
Nice. Hello,
and the
Martin.
ship is setting up for a little detour. It's called a sail-by salute. Basically, you get real close to the shore and honk the horn.
Why?
The locals hate it, but the customers love it, and it's a tradition. Scatino,
Why?
the captain, comes into the dining hall with a lady.
Is that a
Dominica
thing?
Samorton. Remember this face, because you'll be seeing a lot of it later. Scatino eats his dinner with her and socializes for a little while. Then he, Dominica, and the maitre d' finish up and excuse themselves. They're heading to the bridge. It's time for that sail-by salute. This time, they're going to get closer than ever.
I
Just
see.
1,500 feet from the island of Giglio.
Oh no.
And how are they going to determine this distance? Well, of course, the captain is going to eyeball it. Apparently, it's not an uncommon thing to do. Scatino turns to the fella steering.
So they have an important guest on the ship and the guy wants to bang her and impress her. Got it.
His helmsman, Jacob Rusleben. First interesting tidbit. Costa Crociere has hired Jacob from
Rusleben.
Indonesia at a rock-bottom price, and he's a bit of a newbie to the job. In fact, his profession hitherto, a painter and a cleaner. It's his first time steering a massive ship.
Are
and
you
he's
kidding
very
me?
excited. At
Why
least,
is he a
we think he is.
helmsman?
It's hard to tell because he doesn't speak English or Italian very well at all. Off to a good start. The second in command
What?
orders the helmsman to 290. Now, don't be confused by these numbers, they're
Is
just
this
the
for
degrees on a
real?
compass. At the same time, the captain whips out his cell phone and calls former captain Mario Palombo, who lives on the island.
Mario Palombo's the reason for the sail-by salute. He came up with the idea. Great. Lovely.
They chat about the safe distance to Giglio's shores. It's all very casual. Anyway, Mario says that the safe distance is between 0.3 and 0.4 miles from shore. The captain is going all in. This is not his first sail-by salute, so he's confident in what he's doing. We're going closer
Nice.
than we've ever been before.
Ah,
The captain's eyeballing it again. New heading of 300, he tells the helmsman. Downstairs, Martin is about to cut
Nice.
his assistant in half. And of course,
Oh,
that
no.
means that there's already a lady inside this box. She's waiting for the cue, and then she'll poke her legs out. The captain is giving
Oh,
more
no.
orders. Pulling gently to 310.
This
Increase
sounds like
speed
set
to
up for a
16 knots.
disaster, man.
Going this fast is going to be a fatal error. But before we talk about that, let's talk about another big problem. Language barrier. Because at this point, the captain says 325, but the helmsman relays 315. So the first officer intervenes, and he goes, no, 335, which
What
is also wrong. And then the captain clarifies, no, 325. It
Are
has been
you
confirmed,
kidding me?
325. Their poor communication has them moving at a much wider angle than they think they are. However,
Oh,
the captain
no.
should and would know this, except for the next problem, complacency about procedure. The
Oh
standard procedure of a
no,
ship
this
this large
sounds so
is for
bad.
the third officer to give exact positional coordinates every time the captain gives a new directional
Why
order.
is Sylvia
not
Coronica
doing
busy
it.
with her nails?
330, he says. The helmsman relays 330. The ship reaches 16 knots. The captain then turns to the second officer and instructs him to go to the left wing. That's these things here, and they basically exist so you can get a better view over the whole vessel.
I see.
A few seconds pass.
This is a disaster.
And then, the mood starts to turn. Scatino notices white foam of waves breaking against the rocks directly
Oh, Jesus
in front of
Christ.
him in the distance. The Costa Concordia, right now, is almost 700 meters closer to the rocks than it should be. Without deviation, there is going to be
The
a
rocks were
direct
actually
collision.
underwater.
Scatino immediately commands the ship to
This
start
is
turning
horrible.
away. 335.
They're moving
enough.
way too
The captain shouts,
fast.
340. The captain yells,
Why wouldn't
350.
you? Why would you not even stir more? Why are you like slowly stirring? He's still set on doing the drive-by? Bruh.
Now, remember how I said that accelerating to 16 knots was a fatal error? Well, that's because it's made this ship incapable of such a drastic turn. What they've got
I see.
is understeer. Here's an example.
The front end is not working. You're turning, and you're just going straight. You want to go over here, but you're going to end up over here.
So despite the order of 350, right now the bow is still only pointing at 327. Not nearly enough to miss the rock. And oh no, it's about to get worse.
Oh
That language
no.
barrier again. In these critical moments where every second counts, the helmsman wrongly relays 340. The captain snaps back, 350 starboard or we end up on the rocks. The third officer goes to assist the helmsman. Now, don't get confused by the orders from here. We're changing over to rudder instructions. The captain yells, starboard 10.
That is so fast, man. And not to mention, how did they even get on this ship that costs so much with people that have language barrier issues and can't communicate? How? Like, how deep is the corruption? How many people got put there just because big wallet?
Starboard 20. And still, it's not enough. Hard to starboard. That means as hard as it'll go. But at this point, even if they clear these rocks, they need to get the rest of the ship to swing around it.
Oh
So the
god.
captain yells, midship, which centers the rudder. The bow is now less than 150 meters from Skull Rock. Port 10. But the helmsman only gets to port 5 before another order is given 2 seconds later. Port 20. They might just avoid disaster here, maybe. But then, oh no. One more time, the helmsman cocks up at the worst
Oh
possible moment.
no.
The helmsman goes to starboard instead of port,
No,
undoing the swing.
man.
8 seconds later, he realizes the error and corrects, but it's too late. He has just turned a probable
Dude.
near miss into a sure hit. All they can do now is hold on as the bow of the ship narrowly passes by the rocks.
While the other person is cutting the magician in half? Oh boy, dear
Hard
god.
to port. The second officer yells, "We're gonna hit!" Collision.
Oh. This is so tragic. Like, slow depiction of the crash and everything that's happening. There was no brace for impact. There was just like, we're hitting Captain. Preceded by full ram.
Downtown, Nordtown.
Oh, we get
It's
more
day
ads.
56 of playing Russian roulette. Seems I never win.
Why are his
Wanna
ads so
drink all by
good,
yourself?
man?
Somebody has to.
I hear you're a man who's good at finding folks.
I'm many things.
I'm looking for this fella. I got to find him. It's breaking my little heart.
He's not
I'll see what I
available
can
in
do.
my
I have
country.
contacts in thousands of servers in dozens of countries across the globe. And just like that, she was gone. The only thing she left was a calling.
This is so good. That was
Sometimes when
such
you
a
follow
nice ad
case,
break.
It follows you back. NordVPN can protect my online data. But who can protect me from myself?
No, this is my second time
When they said
watching
this job gets easier, it
Internet
was just another
Historian.
lie.
As the second
Forensics
video.
found his password spread all the way down the block. In a perfect world, we'd all use NordVPN.
First one was
But
the
I
wine
guess
one.
This isn't that kind of story. I took the brakes off my car. Man like me never really learned how to stop.
Shut the fuck up.
I took the steering wheel out too. I let the road take me where I'm supposed to be.
Ah, nice.
That's right, Toots.
That's what a
Your
Hellsman did
husband's
as well.
Merry Christmas. Go to
Jesus Christ.
NordVPN.com/InternetHistorian for a huge discount on a 2-year plan.
He has really funny ad breaks. I really like them a lot.
Ad? The ship hits
Back
rocks on the
to-
port side.
Oh,
A
man.
53-meter gash opens up in the hull, and thousands of tons of water begin pouring in. A loud scraping and bang is heard by all passengers. At the helm is panic. Rumblings in the dining room. Martin awkwardly pauses his act as he's helping his assistant into the box. Meanwhile, the lady inside
Let me
is
out,
trapped
let me
in
out.
terror. There's confusion across the
out.
ship. All of the crew off shift come back on duty. All officers run to the bridge. Technical crews run down to the lower
Jesus
decks to assess
Christ.
damage. On connection with the rocks, they lose propulsion and slow to 8.3 knots. And they are now adrift. Close the watertight doors at stern. Enormous volumes of water are pouring in. So much so that within 29 seconds of collision, all 6 engines stop working through flooding.
Whoa.
22 seconds
That
later,
is
a blackout.
insane.
Lights, electrics, the water pumps too. Everything.
That is
The captain orders the helmsman
crazy.
hard starboard. This is the final position of the rudder before power to that too is lost. The Costa Concordia, now without power, is drifting starboard, plunged into absolute darkness.
Whoa.
A quick breakdown of the flooding. When the Concordia struck land, it tore open 3 watertight compartments. At first, compartment 5, which filled very rapidly.
This is an
Then 6
interesting
more
way
slowly,
to like
4
explain
shortly
what's
after.
been happening
Then
though.
7, 8, and 3. Modern ships are built to withstand 2 compartment breaches. These compartments especially, though, are a problem because they contain the engines and the electrics. These main generators give power to the whole ship. From propulsion motors to rudder to hotel functions, pretty much everything. When they went out, the ship was a functionless, sinking cage.
Why were they placed next to
A
each
few
other,
seconds
I
later, the
wonder,
emergency
when they
batteries for
built
internal
it?
lighting and communications kick on. When the lights come back on, Martin has vanished. He's ditched the stage. And it
What?
caused a huge panic in the theatre, as passengers are trying to flee to their cabins and to muster stations. People
Why?
already in their cabins come out and start putting on life vests. Staff rally and try to calm everyone down. Everything is fine. There's no need for vests. Please return to your cabins. The emergency generator starts.
Return to your cabins, everything's fine. Seriously?
All of the watertight doors close except for door 12, which is
Oh
jammed. The captain
no.
calls Pilot, the chief engineer, as the ship begins to list on the port side. There's water coming in? Yes, there's water. But where? The engine room. But a lot of
Jesus
water?
Christ.
Yes!
But a lot
There's
of
water. You
water!
can't go down. Let's go down the other side. In a moment, we'll start the pumps. I'll let you know. In the theatre, the whole magic box apparatus slides right off the stage and falls into the crowd, further increasing panic.
On the bridge, an announcement is being prepared. They are going to lie.
They still didn't do an announcement to this point. Are you kidding me? Oh, Jesus Christ. There's so many things that went wrong.
To prevent a panic. Let's just say we have a blackout. The deputy chief engineer enters the engine control room. He confirms to the bridge that at least compartments 5, 6, and 7 are flooded. Announcements are made.
We want the captain to inform you that due to an electrical fault, which is currently under control,
It's currently under control.
to resolve the situation, and we'll inform you of developments as they occur. Thank you for
While
your
everyone's preparing to jump ship.
Coincidentally, at the same time in the restaurant,
putting
they're
vests
playing
on.
My Heart Will Go On, and it's very much not helping the situation. The captain calls the Costa crisis.
Imagine just like you're doing your thing, like life will go on, everything's fine.
Roberto Ferrarini. He tells the crisis unit that they've hit a rock, that they're assessing damages, and that they are also in a blackout. The
Are they
crisis
lying
officer
to
says
those
reverse
people
the ship
too?
Up onto shore. Well, how are you
Why?
going to do that? You don't have power to the rudder, let alone the engine. Hoist the sails? Anyway, around this time, the wind direction creates a starboard list, and the ship begins to turn anyway, drifting right back towards the shore, which is a very good thing because you want the ship to end up as close to shore as possible.
It's kinda good, but also kinda bad.
Says that something is off. This isn't like any electrical problem that she's ever seen. Plus, there was a massive crashing noise, and now the ship is tilting. So, she contacts her daughter in Italy. The daughter then calls the police, and the police call the harbour master.
Oh damn.
While that goes on,
Take
a
care,
conversation
Whispers.
between Pilon and Ambrosio. The diesel is not starting. The captain asks the engine room, but where have we made contact? Thinking that the incoming water can be reduced. Captain, here everything is lost. The electrical panel, everything. They're
Jesus
saying
Christ.
at this point that the ship is going down. The captain calls Roberto Ferrarini again. Actually, 2 compartments are being flooded, but don't worry, the ship's stability isn't in danger. Wrong.
Jesus
Passengers
Christ.
begin going to muster stations.
Why is he lying? I guess he's not lying on purpose. He just wasn't sure of what's happening. But like, you can feel the tilt. You can see it. He has spotters looking on the sides.
On their own initiative. The cruise director says, "We have a lot of people at muster stations that I do not want to fall overboard. Do we make an announcement to tell them to go to the lounges?" Bozio says, "I think that's best." The harbour master from Livorno calls the ship. The captain tells them that we just have a blackout. How long has this blackout been going on? About 20 minutes.
20-minute
Have you asked
blackout?
passengers to put on life vests? It's just a blackout. I gotta go. The harbour master
Jesus
is suspicious.
Christ.
He says to his superiors that he thinks something more is
Sus.
going on. He calls a patrol boat to the area and asks them to look at the ship. Another problem. The fan on the emergency diesel generator isn't working properly. Pilon manually has to turn the thing on and off with a screwdriver so that it doesn't overheat and cause a fire.
What
The
the
captain is on the phone to the lower decks asking pointless
Jesus
questions.
Christ.
Like, is it
This sounds like a episode from Baratrama. It sounds like me and the boys playing Baratrama at night, having a hull breach and panic ensuing everywhere, and communication just being horrible. Except we're not trained professionals. Like, it baffles me, man. Also, he's a very good storyteller. This is very entertaining and engaging.
still flooded? Yes. Yes, it is. The captain is essentially in denial of the situation. The harbour master calls again. Finally, he says, "The ship is taking on water through an opening in the left side and the ship is listing." He qualifies with, "No one dead or injured." The harbour master asks if he needs help.
No one
Just
dead.
tugboat? When in reality, they need a full rescue. With 3 compartments
Jesus
flooded,
Christ.
the captain finally realizes that things are really bad, and they are not
He's
going
so
to
in
improve.
denial.
The Coast Guard orders every available ship to the sea. Meanwhile, up with the passengers, the cruise director's assistant says, everything's under control. Please return to your cabins or hang about in the lounges, no problem. She said this despite knowing it was wrong and that it further endangered lives.
What? man? Why? What? Jesus Christ, these people. Like, how? How did these people end up being in those positions in the first
Most
place?
passengers at this point, though, aren't listening to this nonsense, and they're busy figuring out how to abandon ship. Bang, 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 bang. Local television has already picked up the story, and they begin broadcasting live radio feed from the bridge.
Hey, Capo.
Captain, the passengers are going on board the boats. Okay, let them go to shore. So then general emergency? Wait, let me talk to Ferrarini. We risk the emergency generators that do not have cooling. It has cooling problems, 100 degrees. The cooling fan has stopped. Pilon calls the bridge and tells the safety officer they need to evacuate. The safety officer relays this to the captain, but after no response, he orders the engine room to evacuate on his own. The captain says, "No, stay. We're leaving." So what do we do?
I like how they
General
gave up on the
emergency?
captain. I like how they just gave up.
Abandoning ship. Abandoned ship. Another announcement is made.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. The situation is under control. Please remain calm. But at this time, proceed to your muster station. They're located outside on deck.
Jesus
The Livorno
Christ.
Coast Guard calls again. The captain declares distress. The Coast Guard officially calls for rescue operations. They contact Pietro Mille, the helicopter base commander, who then calls in every available pilot. As he rushes down to the helicopter base, Pilon shuts down the emergency generator for the final time. The first rescue vessel arrives. By this point, the
The
lifeboats are
first
already
one, the
going.
only one that was supposed to be,
The
huh?
ship is very close to shore. Oh, perhaps
Way too close to
The
shore.
ship forcefully runs aground, creating an uneven center of gravity.
Oh no.
And it begins heavily listing starboard. The captain issues a general emergency on board. The announcement to abandon ship is finally called and alarms ring out. And with that comes panic. And now that they're listing, with many of the lifeboats too awkwardly positioned to enter the water, there aren't enough readily available and they have to start going back and forth to the shore, picking people up and dropping them off. The patrol boats report to the Livorno harbour
That is,
master
like,
the ship has
so
run aground and is
horrible,
listing
man.
heavily. So the harbour master asks the captain about it, and the captain says, no, the ship is still floating. In fact, we're trying to maneuver it onto the shore. They know he's lying. I'm reversing it. Beep, 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 beep. The captain
Beep, 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 beep. Dude, how can you still be lying? How? Like, I get that you're in denial, but like, you're actively making life harder for people that are trying to help you. What goes through someone's mind?
captain then says to bottom out the starboard anchor. So they drop out the anchors, but let out too much chain, effectively rendering them useless. The deputy mayor of Giglio,
Christ.
Mario Pellegrini, and tobacco shop owner Giovanni Rossi arrive at the harbour. They watch the scene unfold. As the first of the lifeboats arrive on shore, the deputy mayor takes the initiative and races to board one of the lifeboats, returning to the ship, and starts trying to find someone in charge. He gives up and starts helping passengers. Scatino tells everyone to leave and take radios, but not before changing out of his uniform and into a nice suit.
What? That bitch has the audacity to change in a suit to try and escape and pretend he's not part of the crew? Wow. I'm appalled. Not only does he endanger people with no regard for the fact that by endangering more people and lying, he's more guilty than anything, but he
Priorities. Dimitri Christidis and Silvia Coronica leave with him.
What a dude!
The maitre d' and Sir Morton both get out of there. By this point, approximately 300 people are still on the ship. Millet reaches the helicopter base. The first helicopter, a slow-moving Augusta Bell, was already rising from the tarmac for the hour-long flight south.
An hour-long
Ozio is the last
flight?
crew member left on the
Ouch.
bridge, coordinating evacuation. He then leaves to help passengers board lifeboats. The bridge is now abandoned. And then, the ship's black box stops working. Apparently there are technical problems with it.
No fucking way, man. How?
That means, from here, things are going to get a little foggy in detail. A while later, rescue helicopters arrive, but they're struggling to find the ship because they're expecting it to still be well above water. Passengers are scaling down the port side by ladder
Jesus
as lifeboats
Christ.
return to pick them up.
This is no joke. Oh my goodness. This was no joke, mi amor.
This is no joke, man. You don't say.
Yes.
You're not allowed to make a film
I'm
movie.
allowed.
Who say you are?
A second
I
helicopter,
see.
a faster model, sets off. The ship stops healing and comes to a final resting place. Now the Coast Guard calls the captain because he's just learned that the captain has abandoned ship. The captain claims, no, actually I slipped and I fell into one of the lifeboats. I'm fine."
But what the heck? I slipped and I fell in one of the lifeboats, really? Wow.
I may as well head back to shore. DeFalco tells the captain to get the fuck back on board. And the captain kind of acts confused and then effectively refuses. So the captain makes it shore.
Jesus
From here, we
Christ.
only have mainstream news reports to rely on, so it's not going to be super accurate. But they say that Giglio's police chief then finds 110 survivors on the rocks at Point Gabbianara. And among them is the captain. It's not known whether the captain helped anyone while he was there, and in fact, the police chief claimed that he just sat on the rocks and watched other people do the rescuing. A while later, a rescue boat picks up.
Well, you're not gonna like ruin a fancy suit, right? Like, you gotta look at your disaster and the mess that you made and the pile of shit and everything burning and reenact "this is fine" as an emote. Like, quite literally, you gotta like just sit there enjoying like, chaos. I can't believe that dude put a freaking suit on him, changed out of his clothes, saved his own ass, lied the heck out of things, and then had the audacity to say he slipped and fell. Just no freaking way that.
The
Jesus
captain then takes him to
Christ.
the harbour. He speaks to the police. He then finds the ship's onboard chaplain, Father Rafael Molina, and cries to him for about 15 minutes. Then he goes to the harbour master's office to receive probably the biggest dressing down of his entire life. Port authorities ask the taxi driver to take the captain back to his hotel. The
Seriously?
captain takes the 30-second cab ride to the Bahamas hotel. According to the
Seriously?
cabbie, he was beaten like a dog. He was cold and afraid. He only asked me where he could buy a pair of fresh socks. But then he perked right up again and gave an interview to a news crew. He told them that he was the last to leave.
Are you kidding? This bitch tried to take credit on top of everything.
Captain is usually the
The
last to abandon
audacity,
ship.
man.
What happened, Captain?
Siamo stati gli ultimi.
We were the last to leave the ship.
All day Saturday, rescuers search for people on the ship. On Sunday morning, a South Korean couple is found in their cabin, safe but shivering. They had slept
Jesus.
through the crash and woke up unable to exit their cabin. The last survivor, Manrico Giampandroni, was found with a broken leg. He was the cabin's service director.
God damn.
In the end, 32 people died. The final body wasn't discovered until nearly 3 years later. A crew member, Russell Rebello, and it's believed that he died a
Man,
hero,
that really
helping passengers off the ship.
sucks.
The Costa Concordia was the largest cruise ship disaster since the Titanic. And then there's the ship. This is what happens to a 110,000-ton cruise liner when it's left half rolled over in the ocean.
First of all, why did they even leave it like 3 years there? Jesus Christ. That is absolutely insane. Like, this entire story is just mind-baffling to me. Like, long live nepotism, am I right? Like, How the hell did they end up having a crew of people that had issues communicating with each other?
But this isn't the end. It's just the halfway point. What most people know is that the Costa Concordia had crashed, many dead, and that the captain abandoned ship like a coward. But there's a whole veritable spaghetti of details to untangle.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, we didn't get into the why the woman mattered. Like, they said that she matters. He said, remember her face, she's gonna appear a lot, but she only appeared, well, barely appeared a few times.
Let's dive in.
Please
There
don't
they
do
are.
that to
The
spaghetti.
deets.
Oh my god. Why? Oh, I do want the spaghetti. Looting! Hey, now it's speaking my language right there.
Loot box time. The Costa Concordia was more than just a floating resort. There's a mall.
Hi,
A
Rebel.
casino. Cha-ching, cha-ching. This iron chest was full of safes and cash registers and expensive fittings. And there were plenty of gamers prepared to
loot
sneak by
boxes,
authorities
let's go.
and try their luck in the hot zone. Within
I
days,
see.
police divers reported that valuable items, once seen lying around the ship, were now missing.
What song?
High-end liquor, expensive furniture, dining sets, cash from the
Jesus
casino,
Christ.
cash registers, jewelry and display cabinets.
Are you kidding me? People immediately started to scavenge and steal shit? Man, humanity never ceases to amaze me. That was not even on my... Like, I'm a loot goblin in video games, okay? I'm a loot goblin. I think about loot all the time. And it didn't cross my mind to think that there are a lot of valuables in the ship itself. Jesus Christ. Finders keepers,
Safes,
alright.
Japanese woodblock prints by famous 18th century artists, as well as the iconic bell, which hung from the bridge of the ship. It was never found.
It was never
Who
found.
steals a big fuck-off bell? Even the server admins were getting involved. 4 divers who were part of the company contracted to refloat the Concordia were spotted on CCTV, sneaking out to the ship. A patrol boat was dispatched, and the men were caught inside the fancy suites with rucksacks full of stolen goods. The 4
Jesus
men were
Christ.
charged with stealing and thieving and pinching. Later on, stolen as well as legitimate items found their way to Amazon and eBay.
Of course.
Ships from the casino, postcards, and cabin access cards became highly sought after souvenirs.
It even has a watermark.
Some Australian guy
What
even
is
made a
wrong
listing
with
for the
humanity?
ship itself, advertising it as buyer to collect. And although there were
Are you kidding me? Someone tried to say... I just want to know what goes through the mind of someone trying to sell the ship that's not theirs, first of all, and second of all, why are there people bidding on this?
plenty of bidders, eBay pulled the plug.
Like, what is wrong with people? Oh god.
I know you want to see Scatino go to jail, and we'll get to that. But first, we have to talk about someone else. Dominika Samorton.
Hey, let's go! That was the plot line that I was wondering
Speculation that
about.
She was on the bridge that evening because she was the captain's mistress.
Well, kind of
Media
expected.
speculation reports that her presence distracted the captain.
They both denied their love for years and maintained that they were just friends. Although she did later admit to the media that she found him handsome.
Damn.
And how could you not?
You so fucking precious. Wait.
This image is totally not flattering, man. I mean, it doesn't even matter. First of all, she had no reason to be there with the captain in the first place. It doesn't matter if they were or weren't together. That's fucked up in the first place. But like, blaming it for, like, downplaying the fact that he's a shit captain by saying he got distracted by a woman. I'm like, seriously, media?
When you smile.
But she says there was no romantic link between them.
Some people would like to believe, they want to know I have something with him. It's more interesting. It's like, you know, some spicy in the story.
Miss Morton also loved the spotlight, however.
Everyone!
Of course she
and
does.
took several interviews.
Of
but
course.
As the pressure mounted upon her, she began making ominous threats to Scatino, saying he must confess, and that you have but 1 week to come clean. But things from here get weird.
Spicy.
Some Morton 1 week to come clean. But things
Of course she's Romanian.
from here get weird.
Spicy.
Some Morton is a bit of a wild card. In a subsequent interview,
I
she
have
claimed
no
a helicopter
words.
came to the ship well before the other rescue craft to take away a package. Huh? And what was that package? Drugs, apparently. So rumors began that the ship was running narcotics for the mafia, and not without...
She is, how can you tell? The news title is in Romanian, and it says about... The news was basically saying how it's the Romanian... the Romanian that got into trouble, basically. Oh...
Cause a number of cruise ships
Drugs,
recently have been caught trafficking
Jesus
drugs.
Christ.
As an aside, Scatino was tested for drugs immediately after the crash. He tested negative for drugs in his system, but trace amounts of cocaine were found in a hair sample.
Makes it smoother and less dry.
I see.
Nonetheless, the Concordia was searched and no drugs were reportedly ever found. How did we get here? Oh right, a helicopter. Some Morton commented on it again the next day and said, actually, that helicopter was just for the captain as a means of evacuation from the ship. Okay, wait. So she expected to get some sort of first-class rescue while everyone else was still stuck on the ship?
Interesting.
Wait, how did we get here? Oh, right, sex with the captain. Divers were quick to head to the captain's cabin where they found Miss Sir Morton's lingerie and other articles of clothing as well as a makeup bag. The jig was up, but they continued denying it. Sir Morton mostly faded from international attention until she was told to appear before the court to present witness testimony.
Are you kidding me? Like, these people are unbelievable, man. Like, it doesn't matter if they were or weren't together, first of all. It was clear that she was there because they wanted to, you know, either he wanted to impress her or she wanted to suck up to him. And like, oh
Asked
god.
her to be truthful about their relationship, or she would be held in contempt.
Either tell me the truth or shut up.
So finally, she admitted it.
Yes, I had a sentimental relationship with the captain.
Sentimental?
But now, stop asking about my private life.
She was indeed the captain's lover.
Damn.
What is up, Trouble Alert Nation? City no cheated on this
Crazy, man.
Oh my god!
She and Scatino had been having an affair for
Moldovan dancer admits she was Costa Concordia's captain's lover. I
several
see.
weeks. She also said that on the night she boarded, she didn't have a ticket.
Ticket, please.
And didn't need to pay because nobody questions you when you're the captain's lover.
Wow.
Naturally, she gave another confusing interview after leaving court.
So she admitted to being a stowaway on top of distracting the captain potentially? Wow, that's a smart move.
I want to say that today is the second time I die because the first time I died in the night of the crash with my psychological brain and problems.
Huh?
And today I died the second time because, of course, people find out something that I try to hide.
Subsequent to the trial, she
What? Yeah, yeah, totally. This says that her foundation wasn't included on the list of benefactors for 2019.
She used her fame in Moldova to become a political activist, often appearing on television and radio and in articles covering protests, accompanied by pictures of her being arrested by police.
And this other and this other article at the top where the chat is says what she found what she was seeking she found. She will take care of the capital streets. She's complaining there are enough bins in the area. The police are telling her to calm down and point out that there are bins right there.
It was some stuff.
Yeah, she's literally shouting that there are no trash cans in this country and that it's totally normal to throw the trash on the ground.
About victims of violence, women's rights,
Girl power.
yada yada yada.
She literally felt this thing right where I am. I say no to rape. That's what she's holding up. I'm like, huh?
And interestingly, part of a push to block the sale of shares of Moldova's train network to Russia.
Sure.
Other than that, I don't really know what she's been up to. Let me just check on her Oh God, not again.
Not again. Jesus Christ. Oh.
Several civil suits were quickly lodged against Costa Crociere, and their parent company, Carnival Cruises, immediately saw a share drop of 23%.
Don't beat.
Passengers sought compensation for their damaged mental health, lost belongings, and loved ones.
Either they allowed him to divert from his course, or they didn't know where their billion-dollar ship was.
Within a few days, facing financial and media pressure, the CEO attempted to join the bandwagon against the captain and the crew.
That was not the ordinary route that the ship was taking at the time, and was not only taking, but the time the ship was...
Claiming that the ship was not approved to deviate from the route. But that wasn't true. Approval isn't required if the ship is deviating by less than 15 miles, or that it was against company rules. Also untrue, because investigators found that they didn't have any rules about deviating route, and they tacitly encouraged sail-by salutes. Now, in response to the civil suits, Costa Crociere offered passengers €11,000 each as compensation.
That's a lot of money.
That's kind of small.
I like how I'm like, that's a lot of money, and they're like, no, that's a little money. That's still a lot of money. Despite everything. Oh, Jesus Christ, man.
€11,000, about $14,000, is the minimum compensation under international law when a ship is abandoned.
This was to reimburse them for their tickets, as well as any costs they accrued in having to unexpectedly travel home early.
And that was supposed to release them from everything and anything that has to do with this accident. I cannot ask for more than this.
A lot of passengers, understandably, were not too happy with this deal, and they refused to take the money.
That is pretty shitty as a deal if that's the minimum that you're supposed to give.
We think that the compensation being offered is not commensurate.
Take it.
Compensation being offered is not commensurate.
Later, Costa Crociere would launch a plea deal with the Tuscany court to pay a €1 million fine to...
I mean, 11k is very little compared to the losses, but like, when it comes to the loss of human life and loved ones, there is like no amount of money is going to make it better. Not saying that is an excuse to, you know, accepting 11k. I'm just saying, like, I think it's a lot of money. Maybe it's not enough for like such things, because apparently that's the minimum that they are giving if they abandon ship, which I didn't know, right?
To avoid a criminal trial. The judge agrees. Costa Crociere is now off the hook for all criminal liability for the whole thing. They've washed their hands of the incident and flecked the residual droplets of responsibility onto the faces of 6 staff members. Passengers and relatives of the dead are livid that the company has been able to avoid criminal responsibility.
Offered is not commensurate.
Civil suits against the company continue. By the way,
that is
the residents
crazy.
of the island of Giglio also banded together and sought damages. They didn't get much. Eventually, passengers who refused the initial compensation of $11,000 joined civil parties against Scatino in his trial in 2015.
Is not commensurate.
They were awarded €30,000 each. Other cases, especially those involving lost relatives, are settled for undisclosed amounts.
What is that edit? Oh, that's a lot of money that some of them got. I'm happy for them that they were able to like actually get something out of it.
New York attorney Peter Renee traveled to Budapest to represent 6 real survivors of the disaster.
At Ronay & Ronay, we personally work on every case.
And we'll work harder than anyone to get you the most money possible in the shortest amount of time.
Damn.
And while on the job, a 7th case cropped up via email.
What you guys were playing
An
WoW?
elderly woman, Alona, said,
"Help me, Mr. Ronai, for I have lost my daughter, Eva, and my 5-year-old granddaughter, Roxana."
So Mr. Renai agreed to speak with her.
Okay.
However, there were some inconsistencies in her story. Neither Eva nor Roxana were on the passenger list.
Wow.
Odd.
Some
Foster is known for having
inconsistencies, huh?
stowaways. Still, Mr. Renai was suspicious. They wouldn't cheaty old Petey, would they? Renai inquired further about why she was on board, especially without a ticket. Ilona said,
"Well, I don't know, but you should ask her boyfriend."
Zolt Horvath.
The what
You'll know
now?
all the details.
I'm up all night. I'm going crazy, he said. But Mr. Renai was still suspicious. Because then she asked, "How much money do you think this is worth?" This
The
is a huge
loss
red
of
flag,
your
Petey. In 20 years of doing
daughter?
this, you've never had anyone ask about money.
and granddaughter?
Why now? So Mr. Renai hired an investigator and sent
Jesus
photos around
Christ.
of the missing girl. The next day, the phone rang. Oh, hoi. It was the boyfriend again. Look, there's been a bit of a misunderstanding and the child isn't missing at all. And then he claimed he was confused because he had done too many drugs the night before. Oh.
What
Okay,
the
can I
heck?
speak to the daughter then? At first, he was refused. So Renai said that he'd have to file a missing persons report to the police if he couldn't. The boyfriend relented. That night, Renai met with Zolt and brought the police with him. He
Man,
speaks to the
some people
granddaughter
are
and asks
so
her if she's seen
despicable,
Mum.
man.
Yeah, I saw her today. Oh, really? Yeah, we went to the park today and we went on the swings. Oh no, the jig was up. So the mum walks into the room sheepishly. It's a miracle! And the story changed again. Okay, I'm not dead, but I did injure my leg when I jumped from the ship. And then I immediately flew back to Budapest. Although don't worry about checking my leg because there are no visible marks or injuries.
Okay.
Petey,
What is
I'm
wrong
beginning
with
to think they weren't even
people?
on the boat. Also, it turns out this lady isn't her mum, it's just a neighbor. Eventually, Renee managed...
Neighbor. Some people, like, I get it, right? That it's money, right? And you do anything for money. But, like, if you spend the time trying to be so devious and try to, like, I don't know, cheat the system and shit like that, why don't you put that effort into actually doing a job, earning money some other way? Like, surely just making YouTube videos is probably gonna be better. If you're that willing to make up stories, just do skits. I honestly don't get it. Like, they can literally do skits on YouTube or on TikTok for money. Reenact random shit. If you can rope in several people to do that, and you're willing to lie to police and officers and shit, like they put more effort into cheating than actually being legit. And I don't get that. Same with the people that are like, they see a disaster and the first thing they think is, we need to go scuba diving for those people's belongings and we need to steal the bell. Like, what goes through your mind?
to make the pair confess. And then they said, hey, we haven't done anything wrong. We haven't taken any money. And in the end, it looks like there'll be no criminal punishment for the scam, because Hungary, a former communist country, has no laws against insurance fraud on the books.
The law firm that never sleeps, call 1-800-664-7.
Oh, that's a bad idea. Oh, that's a very bad idea.
Jesus Christ.
Mario, would you teach me some Italian?
Oh, of course! Get back on board, for fuck's sake.
Okay, thanks.
Gregorio De Falco, the naval officer who shouted at Schettino to "Vada a bordo caso," became a bit of a national hero overnight in
That's
Italy.
kind of funny.
He, like the rest of the world, expected Schettino to go down with the ship.
The editor's too good at this.
And when the captain chickened out, De Falco was there to admonish him. And when he stopped answering the radio, he called him on his cell phone to continue putting him on blast. When the captain first reported just a blackout, De Falco didn't believe the story and immediately began preparing a rescue effort, which likely saved several lives. His actions were applauded by most Italians who were tired of their public servants being corrupt and avoiding responsibility. Accordingly, shirts sporting "Vada a bordo caso" were being printed by the end of the week, others setting it as their phone's ringtone. But then, in September 2014, without warning, De Falco was transferred to an admin role in the Coast Guard.
Hear what I said? He'd been demoted.
De Falco said that he had been passed up for promotion, that he had also not been told which admin office he was even being transferred to, and that it all effectively cancelled 10 years of his career.
The
De Falco
heck?
was tres furioso, and there was public speculation that it was owing to bad blood between himself and Admiral Delano, his former boss. His status among the public overshadowed his superior in many ways. On the other hand, his boss
That's
said,
rough.
No, it's part of a normal career progression for naval officers, and that he must show more maturity and professionalism to advance his career.
Wow.
Now, it's hard to know what's true in office politics, so let's leave that alone.
It's hard to know what's true in office politics. You know what I would do as a journalist? I would just take all the promotions that Admiral dude had and go like, well, you didn't have that arc. Can you talk more about that?
And anyway, in 2018, De Falco said "Buenas noches, ya later" to the Italian Navy to become a politician. In March that year, he was elected to the Italian Senate, serving as a member for Livorno. He still serves there today.
I'm the captain now.
Damn. When you can't beat them, just become a politician, huh? It's definitely a beef. He probably wasn't liked for the fact that
The day after
he
the
became
disaster,
famous.
Schettino was taken into custody by police and underwent questioning. However, it was clear that this would not be a straightforward investigation.
You don't
So the
say
judge
with that
released him
amount
under
of
house
lying.
arrest at his home in Sorrento, a town in Napoli. By July of that year, the house arrest was relaxed and he was allowed within this general area.
That's a
While under house arrest, he
pretty
wrote a
big
book
general area.
with this journalist from Rai magazine. I have no idea
Seriously?
what it says, I don't speak Italian.
He actually wrote a book while being under house arrest.
But goddammit,
This
he must
fucking
have
guy.
some kind of charisma going on, because there's been a lot of speculation in the press that he had an affair with her as well.
You can't keep getting away with it.
Hold on, I got it. Not content with abandoning his ship, this dude is determined to abandon his wife as well.
Jesus Christ.
Schettino and 5 others are facing criminal charges. Straight away, everyone lodges a plea bargain with the court, and all of those plea bargains are accepted, except for Schettino's. And the condition of everyone's reduced sentences are that they must provide witness testimony against Schettino.
He touched me.
Ciro, Jacob, and Silvia were all given suspended sentences. Roberto and Manrico are able to opt for community service or house arrest. Not a bad deal.
A good deal. A good deal.
And that meant that Schettino was now all on his own.
Damn.
Ciro, the first officer, was the first to give his testimony.
I mean, it
On
makes
the witness
sense.
stand, he claimed that Schettino was distracted by his mistress. And
Oh my god, why? What's with that swimsuit, man? Oh. I have no words for this.
other guests on the bridge.
Deserved though, that
was
they turned on
confusion
him
over who
after
was
all
in
his
command.
lying and everything.
Then it was Jacob's turn. And he said Lamau XD because he didn't actually bother with his
Lamau
testimony or his reduced sentence. He just fled the country. It took authorities 12 months to eventually
Seriously?
track him down on the outskirts of Jakarta. And when they said, "Oi, we still want that witness testimony," he just
What the
scuffed
heck?
again. And he hasn't been found since.
Are you kidding me?
After that,
That sleazy slime ball that can't speak English just ratted away. He went in the sewers and scurried off. Jesus Christ. How? How did
Irini
they
gave his
lose
testimony,
him?
Then look, we don't have time to relitigate the whole trial, so let's just go straight to the verdict. Guilty! Schettino was found guilty of multiple manslaughter, causing a shipwreck, abandoning ship, and lying to authorities. He is sentenced to 16 years and 1 month in prison.
Where does the 1 month come from? Like 16 years and 1 month. Where does why? Why do we even have that?
But wait, there's still the appeals.
Oh
The appeals
my
trial
God.
begins.
Oh
And the
no.
verdict on the appeal? Surprise! Rejected!
Yay!
So Schettino's lawyers appealed again. And the verdict on the final appeal?
Schettino made multiple attempts
Yay!
to secure a plea deal, but was denied by the prosecution each time.
That
The
sleazeball does
prosecution
not
called for
deserve
Schettino to be
them.
sentenced to 26 years in prison, calling the incident a Titanic affair.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there.
Schettino was not present. His lawyers stated that he was waiting outside of the jail for the ruling, so that if his plea was rejected, he could immediately start serving his sentence.
Wait, what?
And with that, 5 years and 4 months after the disaster, he was finally in a cell.
Jesus Christ.
Said I will not be making any comment.
That I just don't have any words, man. Such a sleazeball of a human being. I
salvage
honestly don't
operation
understand
was
it.
enormous. It took over 2 years and cost an estimated $1.2 billion. Beginning
Jesus
in early
Christ, that is
2012,
so much
they first
money
spent
into
2 months
it.
pumping fuel from the ship's tanks. At the same time, they had to pump seawater in so that the balance wasn't affected and the ship didn't slide around. In
I
early
see.
2013, a platform was built under the ship to prevent it from falling further. Sponsons were then attached to the sides of the ship and cables attached to the underwater platform. The sponsons were then dragged underwater and opened up to allow the ocean to fill them. The ship could then roll over properly.
That is so
By
much
late
work.
2013, the ship was upright once more. The sponsons were then attached to the side of the ship to help keep it balanced. It now rested partially above water and crews could walk around safely.
That is so
By July
much work
2014,
to
the water
to
was
do
removed
stuff
from the
to it.
sponsons and compressed air was pumped in to lift the ship. And she was ready to cruise again.
Can you imagine how
This time
many-
to a port in Genoa. It was a 4-day towing journey to the docks where a 2-year process of dismantling and recycling would
2
begin.
years of dismantling
That
and
same weekend of the
recycling.
towing, Schettino was busy. He was the guest of honor at a white party on an island in the Bay of Naples. He appeared on the front page of a local newspaper, flanked by 2 of Italy's most eligible bachelorettes.
Wow. He was living his life, man. Before getting arrested.
Anyway, so these are the things that I remember from the Costa Concordia. That's
This was a really cool video, though.
Maiden of
He's
the
very good at
sea.
storytelling and keeping you
And as for
engaged
you,
and
little
entertained for it. But I don't know if I wanted to know the story. It makes me lose more hope in humanity.
Well, it's time to return you.
It's time to return you. The bell that was never found.
6 quick things. 1. NordVPN, good product, check them out. Number 2, there's a new video on the second channel. You probably didn't see it because it was temporarily restricted. Now it's not. Enjoy it.
I still need to
3,
check
if you've never seen the
his
second
channel.
before, give it a go. It's a different type of content, but we put a lot of production into it. It's not just offcuts. 4, there are a couple secret channels as well, but I ain't telling you where they are. 5, no more 45-minute videos on the main channel. Back to 10 to 15 minutes and more of them. 6, there's a Q&A coming out next week on incognito mode. It's got a ton of detail that we had to cut for the sake of brevity, and will no doubt feature a ton of corrections as well.
I gotta say, this was put in the shittiest position, man. It covers up the things you want to show. Oh, but yeah, this was a really cool video to watch. I'm glad we stayed through it all and watched it. It's gonna be a long ass YouTube video, so if you're on YouTube and you managed to get to this point and you watched it all with me, kudos to you. I appreciate you. And keep recommending me cool shit to watch. Yeah.